Well, this is just brutal. Donald Trump's increasing, staggering cognitive decline is now the subject of multiple Kamala Harris ads, one of which is particularly funny and brutal. And I'm going to share it with you, and we're going to talk about it. But before we do, if you end up liking this video and you want to support the channel, please be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and alert bells before you go. All right, friends, got a couple of clips to show you in this video, and we're going to start with this one. This ad, by the way, to give credit where it's due, was shared by Representative Eric Swalwell of California, one of the most persistent and persuasive Trump critics, a guy who is not afraid to roll up his sleeves and get down in the rhetorical mud. Nowhere near as bad as Republicans, but he's willing, like Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett in particular, they're willing to fight fire with fire. And you're going to see the fire in this particular ad. This is brutal and no doubt will trigger Trump to the core.
We were so worried.
They're eating the dogs.
He wasn't making any sense.
The people come in. They're eating the cats.
And he just kept getting worse.
They did dumps. That's what they call them, dumps. Big, massive dumps.
Gross.
In Michigan and Pennsylvania. All over.
We had to do something.
They will take the life of the child in the 9th month. Even after birth, they'll execute the baby.
You sound crazy right now.
Then a friend told us there was somewhere he could get the help he so desperately needed, called A Place for Trump.
Person, woman, man, camera, TV.
Now he has round-the-clock support and can enjoy the things he loves, like eating cheeseburgers and rage posting at 3 a.m.
I know windmills very much, and they're driving the whales, I think, a little batty.
Sure.
So this November, let's vote to put him in A Place for Trump, because we all know he belongs in a home, just not this one.
I have concepts of a plan.
Of course you do.
So it looks like that ad in particular, I didn't see that at the end. It was paid for by Congressman Swalwell. That's pretty funny, pretty brutal. And quite frankly, I think this is the sort of posture that Democrats need to take up more with Trump. Mock him for his stupidity, his incompetence, his decline. He's a corrupt, vicious man. He deserves the contempt, quite frankly. And this is the sort of energy they brought against President Biden. And I just am a firm believer, if it's good for the goose, it's good for the gander. Vice President Harris, the official Harris Twitter page, Kamala HQ, they dropped this a few days ago as well on a similar vein.
November 8th. Get out and vote.
If everybody gets out and votes on January 5th or before.
If Japan is attacked, we have to be in World War III, okay?
We would be in World War II.
For the people of Arizona.
Also, we have many Azerasians in our room.
We will stop illegal immigration, deport every last criminal alien, and dismantle every criminal gang and cartel threatening our citizens. And that'll happen very quickly.
You know why? They moved all their criminals from Venezuela right into the good old USA.
But, sir, where are those numbers coming from?
I guess I get them from the papers in this case.
If I'm elected, you won't lose one plant. You'll have plants coming into this country. You're going to have jobs again.
If I'm in a boat, it's all electric and it starts to sink. I asked the guy, do you get electrocuted sitting over this? And then I say, and I don't think there's anything wrong with this, do you? Because it's an analogy. I say, and if there's a shark about 10 yards away, right where they are, right where all the congressmen are, right over there, look at us.
That guy's a coin flip away from the White House. Yeah, that's staggering. But you know what else? Other people have noticed this too. Not just liberals, not just Democrats. Also, lifelong conservatives have noticed this too, including one of the editors at the National Review, one of the most legendary, one of the most reputable, one of the most persistent conservative publications in America. This is what he had to say.
Trump, she has some doozies now to play about last night. Arnold Palmer and his manhood. Right. Just a reaction when you hear these kinds of things over and over. You heard Chris Sununu say, "Hey, it's just hyperbole."
certainly not a traditional closing argument in a presidential campaign. I think that what we are seeing is a couple of things. One, Trump is declining. He is exhibiting less control. He's always been meandering, but it's gone to a new level. He's always had a streak of vulgarity. It's gone to a new level as well. The other thing is, and this is something that...
You mean just because of things like he said last night? That's the decline you see?
If you compare the way he speaks to the way he spoke in 2016, let alone to the way he spoke in clips from the 1980s, it's not the same person. You see a decline there, and it is, I think, related to age. I think that was a legitimate issue when people raised it about Joe Biden, and it's a legitimate issue when people raise it about Donald Trump right now. But
Wow. Coming from one of the major players at the National Review, it's pretty damning. It really is. These are people who are ideologically predisposed to back Trump because he's the Republican leader, right? They want him to win, at least all else being equal. And they're publicly sounding the alarm about that? Yikes. Somebody else who's talked about it quite a bit is President Barack Obama, who recently had this to say about Trump's decline during an event.
Tim talked about, there are questions about his competence. I mean, he's out there giving 2-hour speeches. It's like Fidel Castro just keeps on talking. It's just word salads. The other day he had a town hall meeting. Now, I've done my share of town hall meetings. My experience is the goal of the town hall meeting is you meet with your constituents, with citizens, with voters. You answer their questions. He decided, no, I'm not going to answer questions anymore. Let's just play music for half an hour. So he's standing there and he's swaying to Ave Maria and YMCA. And, you know, the governor from South Dakota, she's standing there with this weird look on her face, like she doesn't really know what's going on. She's like, it's like a hostage video. Can you imagine if Tim did that, or Kamala did that, or I did that? Now, our playlist would be better, but it would be. But you would say to yourself, this is odd behavior. He called himself the father of IVF. No, I have no idea what that means. You don't either.
He's right to point these things out. I mean, listen, we talk about this all the time. It's true. It's something that we have to continue to observe and we have to continue to fight against to the best of our ability. Donald Trump is the beneficiary of asymmetric standards. He's the beneficiary of double standards and hypocrisy. And there are multiple reasons for this. I don't think there's a single cause. I think obviously people who support him, his initial fans, were inclined to give him, to grade him on a curve because they preferred him. And then most Republicans followed suit in that direction. And then a lot of independents as well. I think it was like this feeding process. The media certainly contributed to it, right? We've talked about this. There are credible reports, there's credible evidence that mainstream media feels impulsively. There's actually a really good book out by the founder of PolitiFact. Should probably do a video about this. But he admits, even pre-Trump, Republicans lied more and more egregiously than Democrats. And he used himself as an example that he was asked about this once, and he pretended it wasn't true because he himself had been so conditioned to both sides. Yeah, Donald Trump lies about this, but Joe Biden says something about corn pop over here, so everybody lies. It's easy, it's comfortable, it's reflexive. You feel a certain sense of superiority, I imagine, when you're like, I'm beyond sides and partisanship, and I'm not going to say that one side is better than the other. That's what the plebs do. Sometimes in life, there are relatively straightforward things. But one of those things, unfortunately, is that Trump is graded on a curve. And more people exposing Trump's obvious mental unfitness. And by the way, the polls reflect this. The polls, even in this environment, reflect the fact that more Americans than not think that Kamala Harris is fit to be president. And more Americans think she's more fit to be president mentally and physically than Trump. A majority of Americans say he's not mentally and physically fit to be president. But we need to continue to make that point among many others that Even if you like Donald Trump in 2016, don't know why you would, but whatever. Even if you like Donald Trump in 2020, again, don't know why you would, but whatever. He's not even the Donald Trump of 2020. He's not the Donald Trump of 2016. He's not the Donald Trump of 2004. He's not the Donald Trump of The Apprentice in its heyday. He's more fascistic, more authoritarian, dumber, and more deranged. It's a pretty lethal combination, and I think these ads speak to that, while also making fun of him, which is the thing the fascists hate above all else. Do not make fun of them. That's what they want. They do not want you to make fun of them. How dare you attack their strength? Well, that's why Charlie Chaplin made fun of Hitler, and that's why we should make fun of Donald Trump, because it's the exact opposite of what he wants. He wants you to fear him. He wants you to dread him. We should absolutely recognize and fear the threat he poses, while also pointing out that he's a doofus. He's dangerous precisely because he's so close to power, not because he himself is particularly smart or formidable. He's a loser who happens to be really close to power. And somebody said this recently: a clown is laughable, but a clown with a gun could be dangerous. Food for thought. In the meantime, let me know what you think in the comments.